Welcome back to the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast. This week, I come to you not from my normal recording venue, but I'm actually in Grand Junction in Western Colorado, traveling with my family. So it may not sound like my normal studio setup, but I hope you enjoy this podcast episode because I'm going to focus on speaking from what I live. I'm going to focus on the power of balancing business and life for optimal leadership. How do we balance that through the power of play? So I just have two children, as you may know, an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old. So, and I'm a child at heart. And so on this episode of the podcast, I wanted to just bring this back to you guys because I think it's important that we have a playful life. It can be really stressful. We're in business, we're working hard, we're providing for our family, providing for our teams, right? So very, very important. But what does it mean, or what does it gain us to burn out and really not to have joy in the journey? I hope you enjoy doing your business work, your career, where you're leading others. Um, but there's been a lot of research, there's been a lot of understanding about the benefits of play for mental health, creativity, productivity. And so I just want to take a moment here in this podcast. Again, my goal in having this Intelligent Human Leader podcast is that you are that most intelligent human leader. You're wise, as we talked about knowledge and wisdom, you're wise in how you live and how you show up, leading yourself and being an example for your team. One thing I really appreciated a number of years ago with a firm that I was with is the owner took on this idea, and really, we didn't actually have set uh, like you have cruel times, meaning it was, hey, we want to get the work done and we want to find ways that we can play, we can get our rejuvenational in time in there. And for me, for example, I could have stayed home this week and worked and did my thing, but I would have been apart from my family. I would have missed some really unique opportunities. For those of you that are familiar with Western Colorado, got to explore the Colorado National Monument. I went on the Grand Mesa up in the National Forest there. To me, as my background in biology and environmental consulting, those are very valuable to me. They're really rejuvenating. They're connecting me to the earth. And just getting out there with my wife and my son. My daughter happens to be working herself, but you know, being important, finding ways that we can infuse play with the way we lead ourselves in our teams. And this is an aspect of leadership that I think oftentimes gets overlooked. Um, in today's podcast, I want to dive into it a bit and unpack that as to how can we be more effective, more influential in those that we lead. And so, yes, we have the demands of business, right? They often push pleasure, or I should say leisure, play to the back burner. And that's not always wrong. But what I want to encourage is you to think about is if that is always the case, right? Are you always responding to high workload and tight demands, deadlines? Is that the norm, or is that the exception? Um, what we found is when people do that, they actually burn out. They go to extremes, and we don't want that for you. We want you to be in a place where you're healthy and well, um, and being mindful of how we approach work. As we all know, I mean, I've got two of them here, two phones that I have to, monitor. But there's a time where I can turn those off, or I can disconnect, and there's a time where I can interact and be present with my team. And there's ways we can go about it. So for me, I'm here recording this podcast in my hotel room where I'm at. I purposely planned time where I could be back here. My wife and son are out exploring a bit more and doing their thing, which is great. We had some time earlier today where we were able to block out time. I've been able to make sure that phone calls are being met. I'm communicating with clients. being very intentional about being present there for my family, but also being there for my clients and understanding there was preparation that I've done before coming out on this trip. So that way I could make sure that I'm in a place where I can be responsive and address concerns or issues at certain times and windows. And so there's ways that we can plan and prepare that enables us to actually relax, but actually let ourselves play, be playful, right? Set boundaries around the work that we're doing and that we need to achieve, making sure we're on our calendars, our emails are set up. There's a whole host of ways we can drill down and help prepare you in that. And I found particularly for those younger leaders, those maybe new project managers, they find a challenge in this area. I know I did. I felt like I always had to be on and I couldn't step away. And for those of you that have young children, let's use this as an example. Your time and presence with them, being playful with them, even at very young ages, is going to make a lasting impact more than the work that you do, candidly, in my experience. And so I want to make sure that you prioritize downtime in your schedule. What does that look like? Again, I could easily go and do more work. It does take a challenge to plan and prepare. We've delved into some of that here on the podcast where we've talked about the maximizing your energy, using the 5 gears framework. And this is where I work and coach individuals customized to where they're at and what they need to help them balance and include the power of play in their leadership. And so if we're not intentional about that, what's going to happen is we're going to create internal challenges for us too. We may be dealing with, again, going back to mindset, this perfectionism or this drive for constant achievement. And what are you achieving truly? I've talked about the core 4 framework in the past as well. Core 4 being our body, our being, our balance, our business. And what happens is we can focus at one domain and diminish on another. And what we want to do is rise them all up. If there's guilt associated with you taking time off or downtime, why is that? What is the story associated with that? You guys have heard me talk about the stack tool as a way of getting at that. What's the fear of falling behind? What are the challenges that you're facing? And do you even understand them? Are you able to articulate them beyond this kind of fear? We don't want people working out of fear or out of anxiousness or a deficit. We want you to be working out of a place of an abundance, that you have time, you can play, you can create this space. And if you're not, I would challenge you to consider the way you're approaching life. As somebody that's 50 going on 51 this year, I want to share with you and help you avoid the mistakes I made early on in my career, to the detriment of my relationship with my wife, my children, my overall health, right? And so we need to be mindful and have self-compassion for us along this journey. This could be as simple as just meditation and getting clarity in that. I take people through what I call meditation mastery, helping them get clear on how to do that. Or perhaps even, like I said, the stack tool, we can use that as a way of reframing. The play is actually a productive behavior. It actually serves you and actually helps you achieve more if done well, if it is incorporated well into your life. Like anything, we don't want to overdo one or the other. But if we're focusing solely on the business domain and we're not taking ourselves in our balance and our bodies, right? We're not taking ourselves seriously in the way that we rejuvenate our connection with God, spirituality. It's easy to get into setting goals for business. I think everybody at some point, if you're in a leadership role, have done that. You're doing strategic planning. You're looking at, hey, how we're going to achieve these goals, how we're going to grow the business, how we're going to, hire, all of those things, all good things. But do you do the same thing for your personal life? Do you do the same thing for the way you're taking time off and planning it? I know many people, they haven't taken a vacation in years. They haven't really played. And so they're exhausting themselves in their relationships with others. And they look up and they've worked so hard to build a business or, generate income for what? And there's nobody there to share it with. There's nobody to explore. There's nobody to have adventures with. And so I want you to consider these challenges that you're facing in preparing, planning for this. Um, and again, as a leader, others are looking to you. Your team is looking at you, right? How are you showing up? Are you taking the time off? Are you able to step away? Or is there guilt or shame or like, I can't take that off or I can't do that? It's really important that you're able to unplug. The most successful people I've seen do this regularly. And in fact, if you're doing it well, you're actually going to be more productive, surprisingly. I know it seems counterproductive sometimes, but you're like, even if I take a week off every quarter, or if I find a way to take, get playtime, like I used to work at the Count of Riverside, we had a 980 schedule, so I'd have every other Friday off. That extra time allowed me, I say extra, it was time I planned, honestly. I was very grateful for that, that I could take off every other Friday or whatever that might look like for you. It doesn't have to be the same. That's one thing I want to encourage you. Some people say, well, I've got to take a week off. It doesn't have to be that. It could be, it's just taking regular time off where you can be playful, or even with your team. What are you doing? How are you creating team building experiences and connections? One of my clients recently, they're going to do some trivia night challenge and have a time of just getting together in the evening. And these are other biologists are working hard in the field, coming and bringing them together just to relax and to have connection and build relationship. Um, when you don't do this in your role of life, what happens is we have what I would call um, unbalanced priorities. Work is super important, leisure is important as well, um, and we can get lost in our identity. If our identity is solely in work, in the what we're achieving there, I would challenge you to look and realize that you may be doing yourself a disservice and those around you, particularly if you're married or have children. I have done this and I made this mistake to where I missed out. Um, and even as recently as this year, I was working hard. I was down in Orange County. My daughter was turning 18 and she was having a party. And we'd done some celebrating beforehand, but specifically, this was on the day of her birthday. And I was almost going to let work get in the way. Thankfully, I didn't. I was able to move things around intentionally. It was a challenge, but being able to celebrate, being able to play in a way was super important and leaves a lasting impression. And so, just as much as you try to get the work deadline down, like I said earlier at the beginning here, think about that as well for those around you. Does your wife or husband feel the priority? They feel important. They feel like you're making the time and creating the space and the energy to um, be playful, to be fun, to be around, right? To be a person that's exciting to go through life. Or are you looking up and you're looking at this person that's your spouse and almost as a stranger? What have you done fun lately, right? Again, this is what is part about being a good leader. This is about how we show up well for ourselves and for our team. Um, our fulfilled life is definitely beyond our business challenges. We lead with that here at Steward Your Business. That is super important. That's why I call the company Steward Your Business, why I bring people in. But it's also about stewarding yourself well in all other areas of your life, your physical body, your relationships, your spiritual walk. How are you getting fulfilled in those areas as well? We don't want you to win in one area at the expense of the others. We want them to all rise together. And that's where I infuse that in the coaching that I do and consulting here at Steward Your Business and Steward Yourself. I help give you those tools. I help guide you in that so that you're more successful than you ever have been, and apply those things that I've been using in my life for years. I want you to look at your own values and beliefs about play. When I say the word play, what comes up for you? Is that an automatic? Oh, that's not appropriate, or I can't think about that, because you have a story and a narrative there that may not be serving you. It may not be getting you the truly desires that you want. I would ask you, is this working for you truly? Look and see your relationship. Are they deepening? Are you having more joy in your life? Are you having more peace because of the way you're living and the choices you're making? You can do this in the Stack tool or simply journaling. If you're interested, I include that as part of my coaching program. I can give you access to that tool. The Stack tool has been revolutionary for me. I've done over 1,000 stacks of all different types. But just reflecting on where I'm at, where am I going. I love that in the app it pops up memories and it shares with me where I was in years past. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't even recognize that guy anymore. Um, and candidly, if you would ask me 10 years ago, I might have hesitated going on this trip, but I realized I could do it. I've been very intentional in how I do it, how I show up for my clients, how do I book my time, how do I plan. I've learned how to do that over the years. And I would say, I've made mistakes along the way. There's no perfect way of doing this, but uh, I believe you can do it very successfully with support, with a mentor like myself, somebody else guiding you and coaching you, giving you some tips and understanding of how you can show up better and be a playful leader. When we're this way, we can actually, have a positive impact. You would be surprised. I don't know if you would think about this, but you would be a surprise if you actually ask your team members, will you take this time off and you show them by example that you can step away from the business, you can be intentional, that they're going to be more encouraged and they're actually going to want to follow you. They're going to want to be a part of this. They're going to want to be part of this organization that you're helping create because they see the value that you place on play. They see the value on a balance between business and other aspects of your life. Now, this is not, it's not 0 to 60 here. This does take time, and you can break this down quite honestly, as simply as just taking a 10-minute daily play break. It could be something simple to build a habit. It could be a weekend activity with your family or friends, taking a hike, or looking. Do you have any hobbies? Do you have any interests? Oftentimes I find people in business, they have no other hobbies. They might go to the gym, but they have nothing else in their life, which to me is really sad because when you have a hobby, for example, it provides you connection with other people. It's potentially giving you a way to give back to the community and connect with others. And so if you're not having any of those things, I would say, how rich and deep is your life? Or is it very surface level? And are you stuck in a way of just pure business and missing out on the power of play? This episode is going to be a little shorter today because I want to just come on here as I'm traveling and moving around and playing. And I'm going to, for those of you that are following along me on social media, please do. I'll post more photos. I've just got some fantastic photos and experiences. I think it's important to share your wins, share what has been exciting for you. What are you learning? What are you, celebrating? And not as a way of bragging, but more of as a way of encouraging others to live and find ways with it is for them. Some people could care less about traveling and getting outdoors, and that's fine. If it's going to a sports game, if it's doing some woodworking, if it's a trivia night with your coworkers, it's not one thing. It's different ones, and so it's important that you find what resonates for you. And just start to take a step in that direction and be intentional about that. So like I said, is it just taking that? And this is what I call strategic seduction, different than just strategic seduction, meaning, or I should say, that strategic seduction is one way of saying it, but really I'm being strategic in how I am choosing to sedate. I should say it's a better word. But how am I choosing to sedate? Now, there's a sedation which is non-strategic. It's just scrolling, doom scrolling, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being very intentional about how you are taking time out for yourself in thinking about that and how that affects those around you. Again, for those of you that have a spouse or children, of course, coworkers too. It could be something as simple as that. Think about this before you jump into a very maybe another business meeting, right? Could you take 5 or 10 minutes to engage your team? There's different ways. One I really liked, I'll throw you out real quick, is if you've never heard the I Never Have game. It's a really fun little game I've used in meetings before. So I never have means you would say something that you've never done that you think others have done. And the goal is that you want to kind of, you can get points. And I'm not getting all the details there. You can look it up, the I never have game. But what is a game or an internet way that you can interact with people? I can tell you firsthand that leaves an impression. And if done well, it can leave a very positive impression as you learn more about your team. You have a laughter. Those that laugh together, those that have fun together, it keeps the glue together. If you're in a relationship, a marriage or a girlfriend, boyfriend, and you're not laughing, you're not having fun together, you're not being playful together, I hate to say it, but the relationship is going to be challenged to be maintained, to hold together. We want you to maintain and have strong relationships in your business and in all areas of your life. So find the fun, find the play, be the powerful leader, and encouraging others in how you lead yourself in this way. I just want to encourage you that, because as you do that, you're going to be that most intelligent human leader. And if you're struggling with that, that's why I'm here. That's why I have the podcast. That's why I'm encouraging you to reach out and let's get you healthier to where you're at a place where you can laugh, where you can play. Maybe you're not in that place right now, and that's okay. This is not a place to find guilt or shame, but it's a place to know that you have connection and you're not alone. I was in that place. Candidly, I was in that place where my wife was like, "You're just not a lot of fun to be around." And our coworkers were like, "You're just always like a drag. You have too many things that you just put up on us, and I don't have fun." And I'm not saying everything is fun, but I'm saying this is an aspect of leading ourselves well, finding a way to be playful, finding a way to be in business, be in our balance, be in our being, be in our body, taking care of ourselves well. We are the best. We need to be our best stewards, being the most intelligent human leader. So, as you listen to this podcast, and if this resonated with you, and this idea of power of play and how you can show up in a more effective leader, would really appreciate that you leave a like, leave a 5-star comment, share and subscribe with others, especially others that would benefit from hearing this podcast, and they would reap the benefits of opening up their minds and seeing another way of being. This has been life-changing for me as I've moved in this direction. I've become more playful. I've created that space and the energy for myself, for my family, and my teams. And that's what I want to leave with you today. Go out there, be intentional, have that strategic play, if you will, and enjoy life, knowing every day is a gift that we have on this earth, and every moment we have. We don't know what we have when we're going to be going. And so know that you're living your life to your fullest in that journey of becoming the most intelligent human leader. Until next time, I appreciate you guys listening, and I'll catch you back when I'm back in California. All right, everybody, have an amazing week.